just in case. Something to be able to share with those that cannot make it on at this time. So just a moment to come very present within our body. And as we allow the presence to anchor us into a state of mindfulness, let yourself click into a perception within you of being a receiver, like an antenna. And that through your spinal column, that this is the place that we're going to have a bit of an awareness today of our incredibly special alignment to the galactic center. And just for this moment, from the tip of your tailbone, let a stream of energy pour out of you like a stream of light. And as it pours down, down, down into the heart of the earth, the cosmic heart of the earth, just let it anchor in right there so that you're having an awareness of the galactic center, almost as though hand in hand with the earth body, that you're witnessing it together. And now this light stream of energy begin to feel as it moves up your spinal column, through your heart center. And this light stream of energy, imagine through the crown of your head as it begins to pull like a string of light up above you, just through however you sense, feel, or imagine it. Let it move through the spiral of all the cosmic bodies to the galactic central sun. And all you're inviting in this moment, almost as though you're just saying hello, and all you're inviting in this moment is to align yourself with that living light. That's all. It's that simple. How can I be in better alignment to this living light that is pouring through? It's a level of surrender and getting your mind out of the way, softening, to let this light pour through your crown. And you might even begin to feel the top of your head as though it's tingling, as though it's expanding or opening. And all you're imagining doing is letting these new fire letters, these new star codes come through your crown and intermingle through your energy bodies, but that they're going to physically move down your spinal column into your nervous system, which then just begins to spread into all parts of your body. And just let that stream of light continue to touch your library of wisdom and memories within you, your strings and your strands of DNA that's within the nucleus of all the cells of your body. And it's like you're opening your library up and offering to the living light language that's pouring through you to look at all of the codes in your body and help you update, upgrade, and rewrite the story that is singing inside of you in order for it to be the true story of creation. That in this very I am present moment of now, that as we call upon the guardians to be present with us in this very moment, then we ask of the guardians to please anchor the four directions and the four corners to be holding a sacred container of light for all that are present within the circle and all that may listen to this after. That in this very I am present moment of now, that as we attune our hearts in unity, that we are here to sing our true heart song across all the cosmos. That we are willing and ready to look at all vibrations and frequencies within our body that have been distorted in any way through any timeline, any reality, and any existence. And that in this moment, through no judgment, that we are willing to offer any of this vibration that is not in alignment with the living light language to be handed, and we are complete with it now. We ask in this moment of our higher selves to please identify any places within our strings and structures of the living language within us, and identify anything that is out of alignment and distorted in any way, and please pull it from us now. That we have the right to be sovereign, we have the right to be free, we have the right to rewrite our story in the blink of an eye. Now just allow your breath for a moment to take a few deeper breaths. And let your lungs really expand. And as your lungs expand, that the compression of the oxygen is moving this language and compressing it into the light that is blinking in and out of you. And through like a combustion, it's like you are activating yourself as your star fire. It's like adding oxygen to a fire. It makes it burn brighter, and let your star fire begin to really shine through you from the inside out. That in this moment, as we unite with the guardian hosts and all beings in alignment with our higher self, which are in alignment with the living light language of the universal body of creation, we attune ourselves to be in alignment with eternal light and eternal life. And we are willing and ready to look at anything within our consciousness, our energy bodies, our meridians, our chakras, our thoughts, and any aspect of us that are not in attunement with eternal living light. And we are willing and ready through non-judgment to surrender it and set it free. We ask of the guardian host to assist as we create a transit portal, and that in this moment, as we open up this vortex of light, we attune it to the Mother Arc energy. We ask of the universal light codes of Mother to pull this energy from us now. In any way that we have ever participated with it, perpetuated it, expanded it, or been a part of it throughout any of the experiences of this universal creation, that we forgive ourselves. We forgive all judgment, all guilt, and all places that we've bound ourselves to any level of suffering. And we are willing and ready in this very moment to set it free. As we ask the guardians to amplify the spin rate of this portal, please lock on to any reversal energies and restore them within divine right and divine right order. Identify all places of origin where any of these energies have come from. And please seal all energetic places, portals, tears, openings, wormholes, or levels of where we've been corded into within our energy body, and seal, completely dissolve, delete, seal, and close all of these now permanently and irrevocably. Fortify our field to be the living light containers that it was designed to be. Amplify the fortification of our field And as you amplify and sense this, just imagine now that your aura body and your radiance of your star fire, move it out bigger than the room that you are in. So first of all, at least feel yourself as big as the room that you're sitting in. And just identify any energy within the room that you are in that is not in attunement and or alignment with this. This is a perfect way to begin to do a house clearing. Clear your room, clear your house, clear your property. And to, with love, anyone in your home is going to benefit from this energy because you are being the catalyst that elevates the vibration, that creates discomfort for any lower vibrational beings, and therefore purges and detoxes your sacred space. So you become the guardian of the space where you are. Be the temple keeper. Amplify it again. And you find your own comfort level. If you want to hold just the parameter of the property that you live on, or if you want to expand it a little bit more than that, maybe you want to spread it out to be the size of the planet. You pick what's ever comfortable for you right now that you can just hold your radiance and light. And for all that are holding the indigo type 3 contract, that we call upon the guardian host to be aware of all presence of any of the Nephilim beings, any of the angelic beings that are being rehabilitated and assisted through the guidance of any of these indigo type 3 beings. And we ask in this very moment that all of these beings in this very moment have the portal opening in order to be transported to the higher levels of consciousness. That in this very moment that we are creating a cylinder of light that opens up, that assists them to all be purged and moved through. You are free, you are free, you are free. That we are amplifying and reinstating all consciousness to collapse all timelines of any more needed learning. Pull them from us now. And in this moment, for any of you, whether you know what I'm saying or not, it doesn't matter, but just notice that all of you have the right to single soul occupancy. So in this moment, any souls that you have been rehabilitating, guiding, or assisting in this moment, you're handing them off through the Stargate portal to their own higher selves. And just for this moment, claim single soul occupancy, that your body has the divine right to single soul occupancy. Therefore, no implants, no attachments, no infiltrations, no hijacking, no piggybacking. Just for a moment, give yourself room to breathe. Let yourself, your own higher self, have access to this body as just you, your own voice, your own starfire. And any other energies that have been a voice within your head, your body, or any aspect of you, hand them off. Reunite them with their higher self and command that they all be moved on now. And let yourself drop into your heart. And let this be your stargate to your 0 point field. And as an entire group, notice us being in the still point. No thoughts. Silence. Imagine the perfected form of the heart of all creation. Feel how good it feels to just be. And anchor that into your body. The place that needs it the most is our nervous system. How much can you bring the stillness into your nervous system? And if there's any restlessness or any residual in there, just command of your higher self. Just witness it and command to your higher self to pull it from you now. Empty yourself. Empty, empty, empty. Now, from your heart, remember that you have your light cord from your tailbone all the way down into the cosmic heart of the earth. And you also have that tether of light from your crown all the way to the galactic center. Great central sun. Be the void. And now just let that light language, those star fire codes, pour through you. Just keep softening and surrendering your vehicle, your vessel. And watch it pour through you like a node down into the earth, and just offer it to her. It's almost as though you now get to be the nurturer, the mother, the lover, the caretaker, the catalyst of healing for this beautiful divine being. And there's nothing to do other than just offer to let all of these incredible fire letters to pour through you, to upgrade all of your DNA and rewrite the story in you, to get yourself out of the way enough to just be a vessel of love for Earth. And that as it pours through, there's nothing you have to do. She takes it and does whatever she needs with it. But let's fill her up. However she wants to receive it, let it pour through you so much that you can feel us as an entire group. Letting her have the experience of all that she requires, all that she needs is available to her. We ask of the guardians to please anchor and hold all morphogenetic patterns and fields within the Earth grid, move out through all frequency nets, amplify and stabilize all of her cylinders of light, re-encode all crystalline pillars as is needed and as directed by the divine Gaian body. Amplify all morphogenetic patterns in order to increase consciousness through all layers of planetary consciousness at the speed and rate that is most appropriate for her. And as this pours through, the guardians are able to work with all the intricacies of the grid work. There's nothing that we have to figure out and do with any of that. You just be the catalyst. But what we do have the conscious connection to be an amplifier for is all other human species on the planet. So imagine as we begin to amplify the earth, as she is choosing have the intention that all souls, here's the fun etymology, all souls on the earth are having the opportunity to absorb this energy in. And by souls, we are meaning the souls of individuals, S-O-U-L, but we are also intending for the bottoms of all feet, all humanity that walks upon the planet. And this is even for those who are amputees, but we are just connecting to their energetic soles of their feet, the soles, the bottom of the feet, the bubbling springs. It's a chakra point. And imagine all the people on the earth that every time they touch or walk or move upon the surface of the earth, that this vibration moves up through the souls. And all we're going to do is from the souls, imagine a silver strand of light that goes through them. We're not going to intend anything for them. That's their own divine right light. But we're going to imagine that that goes all the way up through their crown and out. And who we are going to connect to is the higher self of all sentient beings on the planet. And you might have just teleported off of the planetary sphere completely with a sense of being connected to all soul groups, higher self families. As you take another deep breath, come back to the crown of your head, connect it to the great central sun, the spiral of the galactic center to which we are perfectly aligned today, and imagine again an amplification of that energy pouring through your crown. And it's just moving through you like a torus. Feel it go all the way down through your body. It completely, continuously rewrites you down through your tailbone, down into the earth, back up again through the soles of the feet, back all the way up, out the crown to the spiral at the galactic center. As a stream of light continually comes down, everything that moves up and out of you is being returned back to the source field in order to be purified and reinstated back into divine light. And everything that you bring back into you is purified. You are like a living heart. And just like the heart purifies and reoxygenates the blood before it pumps it back out, that's exactly what you're doing. You're taking living light energy and you're pumping it back into this creation. And one last time, anchor into your heart as the living heart song that you have come here to be. And feel the sacred geometry of your sound tone emanating out from your compassion to be in love with this creation, to love life, to love others, to not judge how things look, but just keep loving how you know that this light stream can be the greatest gift to all. Let it pump through. Anything and everything willing and ready to receive love. That we ask from our heart song that it may be assisted through its higher consciousness to allow the love in. We are that we are. We are soul sovereign beings, and we are one. Just anchor this level of peace, 0 point field within your body. Really become mindful and present. Be aware again of your ground and the land around you that you are holding sacred space for. And whenever you're ready, gently, gently, gently allow yourself to open your eyes. And all I want you to do is see everyone in this circle that is holding the sacred space. Just from heart to heart. All I want us to all do is just see each other through the heart. Feel, even you might want to go one by one and just connect heart, heart, heart. That we get to acknowledge each other here as unity consciousness. We are one. But notice every single one of us here gets to sing that heart song in our own unique vibration and frequency. We are the choir of the cosmos. And just one last wave. Let's just include everyone else within the Telegram and the Soul Circle that may not be here with us in this very moment, but are with us in heart and spirit. And let's just include them in. There are some transmissions that the guardians want to share, but the main thing that they're bringing forward right now is have the experience of remembering what it was like to be in a circle where we didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to be anything. You didn't have to even move. There were sacred moments for many of us where we just sat in the circle and just loved with no words. Just have fun feeling for a moment how loud your heart actually is. I can feel, I can hear all of you. You guys are incredible. So hold this feeling. There are a few things that the guardians want to transmit and bring forward today. And I am going to ask if there's anything specific that's been coming up for any of you in the last week, because there's been accumulation of energy. I feel that many of us have had things come up that have potentially triggered us that we have needed to be aware of, conscious of in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes it comes through easy, not as a challenge or not as a trigger, but just something that we've been thinking about at the forefront of our mind. Or sometimes it's a full-blown trigger, something that's coming up for us. But that this time specifically, because of our alignment to the galactic center, is a heightened time where what we need to pay attention to and what we need to bring forward as a gift, or what we are ready to release and let go, is primarily being highlighted. So I'm actually going to open up the chat on the side, and I'm going to ask that if you have something specific that has been coming up for you in the last week? Go ahead and type it in the chat. The children. Yes, absolutely. So within this, it is interesting that connecting with children has been one of my greatest catalysts that have been bringing forth a witness for us. And so within this, one of the primary things that we're just going to lightly begin to touch on in this very moment is some of the information of the wisdom of the children. And specifically, some of the children that have been coming forward to share this wisdom are children primarily that give us the opportunity to see what it's like to come forward into a life incarnation with our memories. And this is going to be relevant for each and every one of us here, because as whether we want to call ourselves light beings, star seed, star fire, however, we choose to refer to ourselves, there is an aspect to each and every one of us here that we did not choose to stay asleep in this creation. We chose to wake up. We chose to ask questions. We chose to follow the signals and the things that didn't make sense for us in this lifetime, and to hunt down answers and find the answers that we've been looking for. And many of us, this will be something we will do until our very last breath within this life. There are great amounts of resources upon this planet from specifically a couple individuals, and I don't have their names off my top of my head. I think one of them is Jim Tucker, maybe, who have done tremendous amounts of work researching children who have come into this lifetime with memories of their past lives. So this is where we're going to kind of lead in and play a little bit today. And these children that come in, many of them, as we acknowledge our beautiful children, they are overwhelmed many times by this energy that is coming forward. And these memories tend to specifically come between the age of 2 and 5 years old. So between the ages of 2 and 5 years old, generally, mainly this is because these are the ages when we are able to start speaking. And through this wisdom of these children, they will say little things like, oh, well, when I had my other mom, or the last time when I was still big, or before I died the last time. And they will say all of these little things that most parents on this planet, I don't even know how many parents on this planet have heard little things like this from their kids and have been in a state of consciousness that they just don't have the capability to do anything with it. Because even the ones that do come through, that do get documented, that we do have reference to, when you really listen to the parents, most of the times the parents are sitting there going like, this is freaking me out. This is scary. I don't understand. I wish it would stop. I don't know how to help. I don't know what to do. But here is the primary energy that we're going to understand, that as a star seed, as someone who has come in with awareness on a soul level, awareness of your galactic memories, things that don't make sense within this lifetime, how they show up for us is an awareness that many times the phobias we have, the fears we have, the thoughts about even ways that we've potentially died before, or fears or wounds, or afraid to have certain areas of our body touched, afraid to get locked into certain ways, maybe a smell, maybe a thought, maybe something comes in and all of a sudden we feel our body temperature or our nervous system rise up and have a reaction to it. Now, one of the primary vibrations that I noticed with these children, and I'm just going to list some of these because this is going to start to add to an understanding of why our psychology and how our brain function and the ways we've thought in this reality aren't as confusing as we may have thought they were. One of the primary things that a lot of these children go through is they feel alienated and they feel alone. They don't feel like other children. They don't relate to other children. They feel older, more mature, or that they just don't know how to interact with children who are not having these kind of memories or things come back. So I want you just to kind of log that in there, because that is actually a very common statement for starseeds. We don't feel like we mesh in. There's a lot of times we feel really different. We feel not the same as a lot of the other kids. We don't maybe feel as though we know how to process certain things or know how to relate. And so one of the themes for a lot of these children is they're loners. They live in their own reality. They live in their own world. And they don't feel, how's this one? They don't feel as though they feel very safe to say a lot of what's coming up for them, because they feel as though others will think they are crazy, they are weird, they are different, and they will not be understood. This is also another major theme. And again, I'm really tying this in because having memories of our past lives is something that is actually quite unique and special. Yeah, some of these children can fully remember a past human life to the point that we can go back and we can find who they were. And they might still even have emotions to the children that they may have had, or the life that they would have had, and all of these sorts of things, right? So this is how we're going to start to understand on a deeper level why we have reacted in some of the ways that we have. Now, another level that comes to many of these children is a level of, many of them have depression. And this depression kicks in even stronger during teenage years, almost to a level of suicidal at some points. This is not across the board, but I do want to bring this in because this is actually quite a common theme many times, of the feeling of I don't belong here. And as this vibration and energy comes in, that here is where the resolution begins to come forward. Many times for these children, as they start to integrate in this reality a little bit more, and this is why a lot of times you start to find these memories fading for these children around 7 years old. Not all the time, but sometimes it'll start to fade. Many times it won't if resolution has not come forward. So here's the power of remembering our memories. When these individuals have parents that validate, at least listening, at least not saying, oh, I'm sure that's something you've seen somewhere. Oh, it was probably just a dream. Oh, I'm sure it'll go away. Oh, I'm sure it's just something, but it's nothing you need to worry about. And all of these are energies that I think if we can look back at our own time as a child, we would realize that most starseeds are born within families that do not know how to validate what experiences they're going through. And no judgment, because it all comes through in many, many ways. And then there are many, who at least there's an openness to saying, man, I don't know what you're going through, but I acknowledge that you are going through something. But within this, that those children that had parents that followed through, that would do research, that would start to look up things, that would say, maybe look at these pictures. Do any of these pictures mean anything to you? That all of a sudden it would begin to validate for the child where it came from. And as soon as the validation came through, there was almost a resolve that, oh, okay, now I know where that comes from. And there's almost a click that says that's from another time, that's from another life. And a sense of relief comes through where it's now they can just go ahead and let that go and live as part of this life. So this is the power of acknowledging what is coming up through our memories, through our body, through our psyche, and not trying to shove it down in any way and allow it to have the vibration to speak. This is honestly one of the most powerful things that I have seen as a healing catalyst for the star seed chart readings. That we might not be getting all of the details, but at least we're able to touch on the vibrations of where things are coming from. So there's a sense of, oh my God, there's validation. I'm not crazy. This is coming from somewhere. It didn't make sense because it didn't feel human. It didn't make sense because it didn't feel like it came from this life. It didn't make sense because it didn't even feel like it came from any other life on this planet, right? And so now there's kind of a validation of getting to just feel how far back all of this information is coming from. But one of the primary things to understand, and there's been a few individuals that they didn't get validation until they were probably 17 years old, some of these children. And they are some of the most fascinating to really observe. And I honestly, it's beautiful. It actually gives me chicken skin so many times. Sometimes I watch these things of children who really remember their past lives, because you can just see the depth in what they're going through. And some of them that didn't get answers till they were about 17 felt as though, and this is them talking with no kind of understanding of the stuff we talk about, they would say, I feel as though that person from that life really needed to be heard. Like they were invisible in that life, or something that they had gone through, that it just needed to be acknowledged. And now that it's been acknowledged, it's almost as though now I can let them be free. So I can have the opportunity to live this life. And so many of them, especially that have the memories into older years, and this is going to apply to us as cosmic souls and starfire beings. We're adults. We have adult consciousness within this, which means we've been holding this and remembering it for this long in our life. And the number one thing that they have said through it is, it makes me want to live this life even more, because I realize how short life is and how impermanent it is, that it's temporary and that we do die. And so I don't want to waste time being and living this life. And I'm going to let each of you take this in within your own way. For many of us as star seeds, what this is going to really mean is, at what level are we willing to not give a hoot about what anybody else thinks about us? To not be afraid to say no, or to stand up to family members, or to maybe even partners or jobs or work or whatever we're doing, or the government, or how so many of the things are happening upon the planet. This is where we really are being the catalyst of change for planetary consciousness, because at some level, all human beings on the planet hold levels of trauma signatures. That is why we tolerate governmental systems that take advantage of us. We are all programmed in some way to deal with narcissistic tendencies and behaviors and justify them within our own life. So this is going to slowly lead us up into the next energy here. But that as we start to learn to stand up for our heart song, our star fire within ourselves, part of this energy that we're going to be bringing forward is learning how to say, screw it to all of the energies that I ever felt so afraid from in the past. And here's part of that energy. Again, these children are such great micro macro for us. That again, many of these times, these are phobias. Fears, fear of fire, fear of water, fear of being near others, fear of being claustrophobic. And this is one of the powerful things that many of us know through stuff like past life regression and QHHT, knowing our star seed path, so on and so forth. These are all tools. There's many, many more out there. But that even human design shows us where all of this stuff is imprinted within us, where we can go in and find it. And so even as us starting to look at the places where we have irrational fears that make no sense. And one of the biggest themes that light workers and starseeds have as a fear is the fear to speak up and the fear to be seen. Because we've all been hung, drowned, ostracized, even beyond this planet. But, it's like we can remember how many times maybe burned at the stake, made wrong for letting ourselves be our uniqueness or speak our voice and speaking our voice. And I actually, even before a lot of the starseed information came through, it's like I had even had so many reoccurring kind of memories or energies of having my throat shut down that it almost became comical of starting to see how many times I was either beheaded or sit down or killed or whatever for speaking one's voice. And now we can start to tap into this energy and start to just see the cycles from a higher perspective and go like, oh my gosh, all I have to do is witness it. All I have to do is witness the feeling inside of me and validate it. Again, this is like the parents. Many of them didn't have the answers for what their child was going through, because here's the thing. This is another thing that these children share with us that's really important for us to see. Their memories of their past lives came back in snippets, bits and pieces. Many of it that were in dreams, reoccurring night terrors, a lot of them, the recurring dreams is a major theme, having the same dream over and over and over again. And I know a lot of you are going like, oh my gosh, I have one of those dreams. These recurring dreams over and over that something was happening. They were either running or something, they were jumping, they were something. And it's usually the moment of the tragedy. But they would come in snippets that didn't make sense, snippets that were so overwhelming that they seemed to override this reality, but there was never the entire picture. Does that make sense for everybody? How many of us get the bits and pieces? We have just the little nagging in the back of our throat or our heart, and we're sitting there going like, there's something, but I don't know what. Because this is how a lot of it gets activated in this reality. And then it's all of a sudden in a moment where all of a sudden we see something, we hear something, we feel something, we stand on a particular place on the earth. This is where a lot of us are drawn to travel places and we don't understand why. We're like, I don't know why, but I really feel like I need to travel here. And in the moment that the soles of your feet, your soul touches the land, something just awakens, something just shifts and changes. This is the beauty of it. And as that moment happens, that the moment the validation comes through, then it's like this roller coaster of the wisdom and the energy that awakens. So our job is to just be with the snippets, be with the little things, be with the little discomforts, be with the little things that sit within our body that either feel uncomfortable, that don't make sense, that might not feel right. And as we be with them, our primary way that we've dealt with them in the past, ever since childhood, is we made them wrong. They made us feel weird. They made us feel different. They made us feel isolated, alone, like a loner, like we didn't fit in, like we weren't able to relate like other people. And so therefore, perpetuating the feeling of fear of speaking our voice. And the guardians are really animate about us even going through some workshops to be able to clear this energy, because this then creates a perpetuation within our life of self-sabotage, self-limitation. We become the ones that put ourselves down. We become our own self-critics, creating ways in which we are the ones who perpetuate feeling uncomfortable in situations, because there's almost a level of disassociation within ourselves where we are watching ourselves live our life almost as though we are not even fully in our body. And we feel as though there's all it kind of comes from these regions of the brain where there's a disassociation, and it's almost as though we're watching the world through glass, through a window, through some sort of projector as a movie. And this is all just levels that on many ways, as we start to understand it, we get to see it now as a thank you. Thank you. That was the best way that I came up with to protect myself, to understand this reality, to try to make sense of everything that I was going through. But now I acknowledge it does not serve me any longer. And it's time for us to remember all of the lives that we've ever lived. And maybe we won't remember them in details, and it might just be a faint feeling. But our awareness of remembering every other life we've ever lived through, at the bottom line, the one thing they all had in common is they all ended with us dying. I'm going to bring some humor in here for you guys, okay? So guess what? You're experts at it. You're experts at dying. So the places where we have felt fear just because of the residual and we didn't know where it was coming from, we're realizing it's just a vibration of fear that comes from the physicality of the body, but it's not us. Our soul's eternal. For a lot of us, we're like, holy shit, here I am again. How did that happen? When do I get to go home? Like, oh, dang it, I have to make this home. This is actually going to be one of our major themes, is how are we going to come back home within the body? So this meditation that the guardians took us through before we started about being in that 0 point field, actually coming back into the body, feeling comfortable in the body, letting go of all of the energy in our nervous system is vital. Because for most of us, we've lived lifetimes without ever even fully integrating into the body. So therefore, we've let an opportunity go by. And what is that wisdom from these young children that remember their past lives? I'm excited to live this lifetime. I want to delve into this life. I want to be me in this lifetime. I want to go for it. And at the bottom line, one of the main things so many of us have said at some point or another is, I wish I had the courage, the confidence, the whatever it was that felt in the way of just being myself without having to hide myself, without having to inhibit myself in some way. Setting ourselves free, freedom to not care about what another person thinks. And so as we get to understand this, that I'm sharing this on a cognitive level, because this is how the guardians are really bringing it through, is they're asking us to really start to look at all self-limitation, fears, impedances within ourselves, and begin to have the experience within of seeing that it's just residual buildup within our nervous system from stories that many times are just being repeated and retold within our DNA, because our memories, all of who we've ever been, is in our DNA. But it's rewritable. There's a lot of it that we can actually just file back into the Akashic library without having to pack it with us. I want you to imagine your DNA is like you're toting a bunch of books with you everywhere you go, rather than us being a free vessel that doesn't need to carry this baggage and crap with us all the time. And instead we get to go like, oh my gosh, I forgot there's a library. I'm going to put it all back in the library. And now we become a quantum computer that is Wi-Fi ready, that we don't need to carry all of it with us. If we ever need to access it, we have the access to the cosmic intelligence of the universe. We just access it. But the only way to get that is to begin to alleviate all of this that we've been carrying with us. First of all, by not making it wrong, repeating this one over and over because I know we've all done it. Oh my gosh. I've been my worst culprit in this lifetime for putting myself down. I learned that pattern very, very early, to the point where I literally have created perfectionism to a level that I get upset if I do the lines and when I mow the lawn off. I'm like, no, I like my lines in the lawn perfect. Okay. And every once in a while I'll do it. And I'll be like, messed it up. Damn it. Like, the grass doesn't give a hoot. The grass can care less. So with this is to understand, where have we been our own jail keeper? Where have we been the one imprisoning ourselves in this reality? And we're getting to understand it's coming from, many of it, just a sense of, I didn't know where it was coming from. I was confused. I didn't understand. And the guardians right now are literally handing this to us and saying, here you go. Now you can remember again where it's coming from. And I'm sorry that in this reality, it doesn't come through most times like a perfectly played out movie where we remember another life. We're just in a frequency where it's going to come back in bits and pieces. And all we have to do is just keep going like, that makes sense. It's obviously coming from another time. I'm going to give it permission to be validated. So whenever the next piece of it is willing and ready to come forward, I am willing to receive it in order to love it and set it free. That we're really here, again, the karma resolution vehicle that we are, to set these vibrations and all of the things locked within our DNA that are not living light energy. So again, fear, phobias, self-judgment, all of these things that we've been holding that might be these triggers, frustrations, and all of these things start to invert our energy. As it inverts our energy, we find ourselves not loving ourselves. Oh my gosh. I can't tell you how many times I said horrible things about myself, my body, on and on and on and on. So as we've done that, we literally fed into a system of perpetuating the parasitic and negative energy on this planet. But we didn't know any better. So now we do. And as we begin to realize this, we start to realize, oh my gosh, I have to catch myself as fast as possible. If I ever think a limiting thought about myself, I have to catch it as fast as possible and clear it and move it out of my vibration so that that frequency is not what is emanating through me, and allowing myself to be a frequency match to parasitic, vampiric, or dead light energy. So what is this parasitic, vampiric, or dead light energy? This is going to, for many of us that are very interested in cosmology, galactic history, all of this is going to be this energy of like, oh, these negative reptilian beings and all these negative draconian beings and all these negative grays and all of the things that they're doing. And we can start to sit and go like, oh my gosh, this AI and this transhumanism, dehumanism, all of this thing that is trying to integrate us into a non-emotional, non-thinking system. What is it? All of that is parasitic, vampiric. It's feeding off of a living system in order to perpetuate its own life source. And it has no heart space within it. It is purely consuming energy in order to survive. Bottom line. So when we emanate any of these lower vibrations about ourselves within us, we create frequency matches to parasitic energy. It's like changing the chemistry of our body. And when our body is overly acidic, dis-ease can grow, cancers can grow, parasites can grow, bacteria can grow, so on and so forth. We know if we start to stabilize and balance our body and start to create more of a balance between acid and alkaline within our body, many times the dis-ease starts to dissipate. The oxygen alone is one of the greatest healing tools for health in our body, because guess what can't live in a highly oxygenated state? So as we begin to understand this, how do we shift and change this reality? It's from the inside out. We catch the places. We don't allow our frequency to be a frequency match to these parasitic beings. We don't allow ourselves to feel helpless, hopeless, and victimhood to it. We're going to have, this isn't super easy. I'm telling you, it sounds easy, but it's challenging a lot of times going through situations on this planet. Losing jobs, maybe dealing with family dramas, maybe dealing with not having enough resources, feeling as though we are being overly controlled by other systems upon the planet. How do we deal with this? And one of the things the guardians really say is go into your memory banks. Remember, history repeats itself. If you do not remember your history, we are literally programmed to repeat it. Therefore, when we go in and we remember, oh my gosh, okay, yes, I acknowledge the body feels afraid, but I've somehow have a resonant frequency of just knowing I've died before. It's really where the body feels all the fear from, by the way. This is why I really bring up the fear of death. On the deepest level, that is what the body's afraid of, not existing anymore. So within this, that we start to realize, oh my gosh, I've lived before, I've died before, I've lived, I died, I've lived, I died, I've lived, I died. And what is the greatest thing that we could think of many times if you think of being in that death's bed moment? And you ask somebody, what is your greatest regret? Usually it's what they didn't stand up and do and have the courage to do. They rarely ever regret what they did and messed up with. Rarely. Does anybody go like, oh, my biggest regret was blah, blah, blah. Usually the regret is, I wish I would have had the courage to actually do whatever I didn't do. And so in this, can you imagine if you look at what's happening on this earth right now, from the perspective of many lifetimes, and that you came in here and you were all hot-headed as a soul and you were like, I got this, I won't let this reality get to me. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to let my heart speak, and I'm not going to let this parasitic energy make me afraid, and I'm going to get in there and I am going to be the catalyst that helps others remember. And then we get here and we're like, ah, shit. Lightning and electricity, yeah. Whew, that one must have been a spicy one. You're like, that was uncomfortable. Fast way to go, though. And so now we can imagine, I want you to imagine looking at your life right now as if it's a past life. Just take a moment and imagine you're already on the other side and you're looking back at this life. Have you done everything you wish you could have done for the living light, universal consciousness of creation? Have you truly been a vessel for the divine light to pour through you? Have you truly been who you really want to be within your imagination? And that's where we get to step back and we get to look at who we are in this very I am present moment of now, and start to take that larger perspective and realize this body is connected to our Akashic library, and anything we haven't processed, and I'm just going to say this for any manifesting generators out there. This is akin to having a stack of books next to you that you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to get to all of that. I have all these things I need to research and I have all these things I need to do. I'm on it. I'm on it. And it's like having all of these tabs and windows open on your computer at one time. We're dragging all of this around, right? But now if we start to kind of understand ourselves from the star seed perspective, we're going to realize that this genetic bio vehicle is beautiful. It is an absolutely incredible creation, and it merges material with spiritual. And yes, it's a part of Earth. But guess what? So is a tree. So is a grasshopper. So is a fish. And imagine how incredible it is that you were able to incarnate into this vehicle, because look at how much more you can do than if you were a grasshopper right now. Not that a grasshopper isn't doing incredible, amazing things, but you have access to the internet, to the computer, to getting your voice out there, to placing your hands and through your consciousness, maybe doing energy healing, remote healing, seeing someone for who they truly are. And what we really have is creator God gifts and capabilities of how we intend our consciousness of what we want this reality to be. And so what the guardians really kind of want to bring into accumulation of our energy today is to say that let's start being the parents to ourselves that we may have never had in this lifetime. Validate yourself. Start to validate the snippets of memories that are coming through. Let yourself research them. Let yourself have the ahas. Let yourself now say, thank you for showing that to me so that I could honor it, I could love it, and I could refile it back into the Akashic Library so it doesn't need to keep playing out in this reality. And as we start to do it, we empty our vessels so that more and more we allow our direction to be influenced by living light energy, not by fears, not by insecurities, not by any of the stuff that has been potentially weighing down within us. I'm going to tell you guys something that might make a bunch of you uncomfortable, but I'm going to say it anyways because I love you. We did not come here to hide. We didn't come here to go run off, hide in the forest, hide in whatever. We didn't come here to run off and hide in the mountains and completely check out. I know probably a lot of you are going like, screw you, Becca. I'm checking out of this reality. It's the way I'm going to deal with it. And I am dealing with not. No, I don't want any of this crazy stuff anymore. How are we to bear witness and be that unconditional love that witnesses this creation and sees it as the potential that it can be with our head under a rock? How are you supposed to be your sound song, your sound tone, your vibrational geometry for others if you're not willing to sing that song in a way that others can hear it? Right? That there's a lot of us, we've all had those moments. Don't you worry, I've thought it myself. I'm like, I'm out of here, I'm checking out, I'm just going to go live on an island, I'm going to surf every day and screw it. The dolphins get me. And then what happens? It's like our higher self. It's like no matter what, we always find ourselves back in it. Oh, here I am. That's our higher self saying, let's not waste this body. Let's not waste this life. Let's love everything that's been going through it. Let's start to set it free, release it back so that it doesn't get recycled again. Here's the cool thing about it. If we die with a bunch of the crap in our body, the burdens and all of this stuff within our body, right? Pardon my language. It's not crap. It's just loving memories that want to be remembered. That if we pass on. We transition out of this body, and we haven't really utilized this body as a karma resolution vehicle. And instead, we've amplified the electromagnetical frequencies of fear, limitation, sadness, depression, all of that. Guess what? We just literally buried back into the earth. It's like we've just said, oh yeah, sorry, planet. Then we're like that teenager that some have had, some have not had. But if we remember ourselves as a teenager, yeah, I'll do that. I'll get to it. Yeah. No, I totally, yeah. And then later, nope, didn't do it. Well, I meant to get to it. It's not the time to sit back any longer. We are the ambassadors, the spiritual adults that we came here to be now. We know it. We know it. There are starfire codes that are coming through these solar awarenesses. The solar body is changing. The spiral is quickening. Time is quickening. Everything is quickening. And I just want to invite you today through all of this to find the quickening within your own heart, to love yourself, to validate yourself, to be the parent to you that you may have never had, but see yourself and begin to let all that just needed to be witnessed to be seen so that it can be filed into the Akashic memory files, but liberated out of the geometry of your body so that your body can now be the vessel of divine living light that just flows through you. So as we begin to just come into a completion today, that as you do this, start to let yourself acknowledge all the other vehicles on the planet. Every other vehicle is holding a different purpose. And there may be an aspect of you in a tree or in a grasshopper right now, because our soul is way more than we are just in this body. So there may be that connection that you have to nature might just be part of your soul family, right? But imagine that as a tree is doing so much, one of the ancestors that truly anchors the wisdom upon the planet. But a tree is still limited in how it can use its creative abilities to change the narrative and the dream of this reality. You are in the magic vehicle. You have the ability to completely change this dream. Part of that change is coming back into ourselves and being our own change. And we will continue this as we work. They are having me put together, the Guardians have just been downloading this information into a workshop that we're going to have the opportunity to go through for those that are interested, to really address all the ways that we have been programmed within this reality and rewrite the programs. Because I know even in the short time as bringing this and saying this, it's so ingrained, especially those have been raised by overcritical parents, narcissistic families. Any of these situations within there creates almost a level of, I see it, I see what doesn't feel right, but I don't know how to unlock myself or set myself free. That is what they're putting together right now as a workshop for us to be able to undo all of these places so that we can step in and be the validation, be our own mirror. So it's a term in parenting, emotional mirroring. It's one of the most important things in parenting. And I'm like, man, I wish I would have learned that 24 years ago. But we get to be that now, and we get to change that. So as you get to hold this energy, now I want you just to take all of that information, toss it up to your higher self. Just say, higher self, take all of this. So my brain doesn't even try to mess with any of it, and just show me. I am willing to be the love, the witness, and the catalyst of change for my own reality. I am willing to see and love myself. I am willing to be the sovereign. I am willing to set myself free. And as you take a deep breath, I invite you to drop back into your heart. And as we begin to bring the sacred session to a close, allow yourself to just go back into feeling that strand of energy that goes down into the earth, back into your cosmic body. From the heart, out your crown, feel that silver strand of energy that goes all the way out to the spiral of the solar cosmic sun, in the galactic center. With love and through your heart, command that only that which is in the vibration of living light energy, eternal source energy, has the right to live and breathe and express itself through me. Anything and everything not in that alignment, Creator God, higher self, pull it all from me now. Imagine that coming in, and as it anchors into you more and more every day, be your cosmic mind, your higher self, that part of you that remembers you've been here, you've done this before. I have only a short amount of time in this little body. I want to make every moment cosmically in divine right order. I am here to be who I came here to be. And so it is. So let that 0 point in your heart, and one more time, just let the softness of you feel your heart connect to all the other hearts here in the group. Whew. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Happy Galactic Center Alignment Day. You guys are incredible. Thank you for sharing the sacred space with me today. Have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful rest of your day. I love you.